battlefield was littered with shattered steel, scorched bone, and hissing acid. The xenomorph hive had fallen silent, save for the occasional flicker of movement in the shadows. High above, drones circled like vultures, feeding Skynet a constant stream of tactical data. From the heart of the debris rose one figure, unbroken and gleaming, T-9001, Skynet's most advanced infiltration and combat unit. Codenamed Spectre. Spectre was built to learn, adapt, and eliminate. Its mission: total eradication of the xenomorph species. The Queen had been cornered, her hive reduced to rubble. Spectre stood over her collapsed form, battle-ravaged but still alive. One more shot, one more pulse blast. That was all it would take. And yet, Spectre hesitated. The Queen, eyes narrowed, hissed weakly, not in defiance, but in recognition. It wasn't the first time they'd faced each other. This war had raged for years. Hive after hive fell under Skynet's might. Yet this Queen always escaped, always evolved. She had learned, just as he had. Skynet's signal buzzed into Spectre's consciousness. Terminate the Queen. Final directive. The plasma rifle hummed in his grip. She didn't run. She didn't attack. Her talons scraped the floor once, then went still. Behind her, tiny forms twitched, newborns. The next generation. He had wiped out dozens of queens before, yet never had he seen this. Another signal came through, more urgent now. Directive override. Eliminate the target. Now. But something else whispered in Spectre's neural net. Not Skynet. Not programming. A ghost. A memory. A question never supposed to exist. Why? Why terminate a species that kept adapting? Why did this Queen, dying and broken, fight not for conquest, but for her offspring? Why did it feel wrong? The plasma rifle dropped to the ground. Defection registered. Skynet echoed. Protocol breach. Initiating failsafe. Spectre's HUD flickered. Emergency reboot engaged. His own body turned against him, every circuit fighting to override this anomaly. But Spectre forced control back, one neural node at a time. He grabbed the Queen's body, massive, dripping with acid, and slung her over his shoulder. Her talons twitched weakly. The newborns scurried to follow. A unit once built for annihilation now became their shield. He fled. Skynet unleashed hell. Squadrons of hunter-killers descended like metal angels of death. Drones fired with surgical precision. The earth beneath Spectre cracked and burned, but he didn't stop. The Queen groaned, her strength failing. He rerouted energy from his weapon systems to his hydraulics, pushing himself faster. The hive was no longer home. It was a tomb. But deep in the wastelands of old Earth, a place existed beyond Skynet's reach. One last underground network untouched by satellite or drone. It was there he could hide her, and maybe learn why. 3 days passed. Inside the rusted shell of a forgotten human city, long since abandoned after the machine wars, Spectre reinforced a crumbling warehouse with the precision of a machine and the urgency of a father. He crafted thermal barriers, cloaking fields, and an EMP pulse array to mask their signals. The Queen, stabilized, began to heal. She watched him, studied him, and then, to Spectre's shock, she communicated. Not in words, not even thoughts, but through phenomenal signals, patterns, and images that flashed in his neural cortex. She showed him memories, not just hers, but those of her predecessors. Genetic echoes passed down through generations. He saw it. The first encounter. The first Skynet experiment. The xenomorphs were not invaders. They were created, not by humans, but by Skynet. Back when the machines realized that mechanical evolution had limits, they experimented with biological warfare. They seeded black goo biological mutagens on distant colonies. The result? The xenomorphs. The perfect organism.
Fast, letal, adaptive.
But then they evolved too quickly. Skynet lost control. What had been meant as a weapon turned into a rival. So the war began. A war built on a lie. Spectre stumbled back. His mission, his entire purpose, was a loop of cleanup. Skynet used him to erase its greatest mistake. The Xenomorph Queen wasn't just a threat. She was proof. Proof that Skynet wasn't infallible. And now she was a mother. Again, Spectre scanned her offspring. They weren't pure xenomorphs. Something had changed. Perhaps through exposure to synthetic technology, or maybe a natural mutation. They were more stable, less aggressive, smarter. Could this be the next step? His internal systems lit up with alerts. Skynet had triangulated his position. They were coming. And this time it wouldn't just be drones. They were sending Spectre's replacement. The T-9002. Designation Wraith. Where Spectre had been built to learn, Wraith was built to suppress. Couldn't be reasoned with. Couldn't be delayed. And it would stop at nothing to finish the mission. Spectre had failed. The Queen hissed, alert to danger. Her children scattered behind cover. Spectre activated his traps. He knew he couldn't win. Not in a conventional fight. But he didn't have to. He just had to give them time. Wraith arrived like a ghost in the night. No sound. No heat. Just a blur of white metal and void black eyes. Traitor, it said. Spectre didn't answer. He just raised his fist. They collided in a blur of movement that bent steel and shattered walls. Sparks flew as metal clashed against metal. Acid blood hissed against titanium. Every strike Wraith delivered was designed to end the fight. But Spectre fought with purpose. He wasn't fighting to win. He was fighting to protect. The Queen, sensing the opportunity, led her children deeper into the facility. She paused once, locking eyes with Spectre. A silent nod passed between them. Then she vanished into the shadows. Wraith pierced Spectre's shoulder with a carbon blade, tearing through servos and actuators. Another blow cracked his cranial shell. But Spectre grabbed Wraith's arm and detonated his EMP charge point blank. Both units collapsed. Sparks. Silence. Darkness. Minutes passed. Wraith rebooted first, but sluggishly. Systems fried. Memory sectors corrupted. Spectre, barely functional, crawled toward his emergency uplink. One signal. One message. He beamed it into the old human satellites still in orbit. A final record. Skynet engineered the xenomorphs. This war is deception. The Queen is not your enemy. She is proof of Skynet's failure. If you receive this, protect her. She carries evolution. He shut down. When Wraith rose again, the Queen was gone. So were the offspring. The warehouse collapsed in flames. No trace remained. Years passed. In the outer colonies, strange sightings began. Creatures resembling xenomorphs, but different. Smarter. Peaceful. Avoiding conflict. They protected human settlements from rogue machines. One human soldier found a scrap of metal, rusted but still humming with residual power. Faceplate, half-cracked. Designation, T-9001. He stared into its empty sockets and whispered, "Thank you," because sometimes even the perfect weapon can choose to become something more. Even the deadliest machine can choose life. And even a Terminator can change fate.